Pinkerton Detective Agency.
You people venerate savagery. You will die savagely.
We're all gonna die, Agent.
Some of us sooner than others.
When thinking of the villains of Red Dead, you're inclined to think of Dutch or Micah. While yes, these are the main antagonists within the gang, it wasn't that way until towards the end of the game, when things started unfolding.
So let's think again. What was it that kick-started the decline of the Van der Linde gang? What sparked the fire that ultimately burned down Dutch's philosophy of helping others, resulting in the deaths of many, leading to the demise of what used to be the Van der Linde gang? The Pinkertons.
The Pinkertons, a real group of government agents, set out back in the final days of the West to hunt down and dispose of the last standing outlaws of the American frontier. These were not the kind of men to be messed with, as they had tunnel vision for what a more civilized version of America could be once all the outlaws were gone.
The way these men were depicted in Red Dead was not a far cry from reality, but the Pinkertons as a whole is not our topic of focus today. Today we will be talking about the man who led the team assigned with taking down the Van der Linde gang. And this man is Agent Andrew Milton.
I'm sure many of you are repulsed and fueled by hatred from being subjected to the mention of this man's name. And if that's the case, many of you won't like what we're about to say.
What if I told you that Agent Milton is not the villain you think he is? Agent Milton is not a bad guy. In fact, I would even go as far as to say that Agent Milton is a good guy. Now, to support this idea, me and Liam are going to be going over all of the interactions between Milton and the gang
and breaking them down.
From fishing with Jack down to his final moments. Here is why you're wrong about Agent Milton.
Our first interaction with Milton is on a riverside. Whilst fishing with Jack, Arthur and Jack are interrupted with the presence of Milton and Ross.
Now, instead of putting Arthur under arrest right then and there, which I'm sure every other agent would have done considering all the crimes that Arthur is associated with, he offers Arthur a deal, offering him freedom in exchange for Dutch himself.
We want Van der Linde.
Oh, Dutch. I haven't seen him for months.
This is my offer, Mr. Morgan. Bring in Van der Linde, and you have my word you won't swing.
Oh, I ain't gonna swing anyways, Agent
Milton.
Despite Arthur not taking the deal, Milton still walks away and leaves him be. The only evil thing he's done during this interaction was going into detail about how he killed former gang member Matt Callender.
Matt Callender?
He was pretty shot up by the time I got to him, so really it was more of a mercy killing. Slow, but merciful.
But I believe he did this due to frustration with Arthur not complying. But again, he walks away.
Oh, we're all gonna die, Agent. He tries this same tactic in our second interaction with him, when he walks straight into the wolf's den. He begins trying to reason with Dutch and saying himself that he only wants Dutch and will let everyone else go live free if he can have him.
Ultimately, the gang does not accept this and gets Milton to leave, but not before letting everyone know that he is done giving them chances.
Stop following us.
I'm afraid I can't. And when I return, I'll be with 50 men. All of you will die.
And he keeps his word on that. As with our next interaction, he kills Hosea.
After a heated exchange with Dutch from the outside of the bank, Agent Milton kills Hosea Matthews. Now, of course, this angers everyone in the gang. Hosea is one of, if not the most sensible person in the gang, and he is one of the few people trying to lead Dutch on a good path, since he knows that his time is coming to a close.
Obviously, Milton doesn't know this, and I'm sure he probably wouldn't care, due to all the crimes and murders associated with his name.
To put ourselves in the mind of Agent Milton, let's find something to help us better understand his thought process. When we see serial killers, we automatically feel anger and hatred towards them without even knowing their story.
It isn't until we see documentaries or movies or books where we learn the stories and how rough they had it in life, where we build our sympathy.
We are brought along through the gang's story from the beginning of the madness to the end, and with that comes the construction of emotional attachment to the characters. Milton, as an outsider, doesn't have that attachment, nor does he know the personalities or backstories that come with the gang members. He simply sees them as no good low-down killers. So the aggressive attitude he shows in his interactions isn't a sign of evil, but rather a sign of his hate towards criminals and killers. So how can we blame him?
He saw Hosea as nothing but a killer, so he killed him for that reason, and may have seen it as a punishment for the gang not taking his deals.
One of the only genuinely evil actions of Milton is shooting up the gang's camp in Lekay, knowing there were women and an innocent child inside. And you can't say he didn't know because he met Jack in the first interaction.
We get an inside look on the business aspect of the Pinkertons when eavesdropping on Milton and Cornwall. This interaction is very brief, but there is an interesting detail in here.
See, and still nothing. This Vanderlyn robs me and laughs at me. I asked for the best. I paid for the best.
We are very close, Mr. Cornwall. I know you've heard this before.
Sorry, no, I have heard it before.
We are doing all we can within the confines of the law.
The law? I think we both know what you can do with your law. Find me Dutch Vanderlyn.
Here we see Milton express how he is doing everything he can within the confines of the law. At this point during the story, he is still trying to stay uncorrupt, and this is a line that Agent Ross crosses very early in the story of Red Dead 1. Agent Milton is just trying to do his job without overstepping the boundaries of the law.
Everything, well, almost everything we have seen up until now was Milton simply trying to do his job, while still having patience with the gang in the beginning. From trying to negotiate to even trying to reason with the gang, Milton has remained more patient and honest than any other agent.
Even in his last moments alive with a gun pointed at Arthur, he is still giving his time to speak with Arthur, giving him information he was unaware of before what he thought was going to be Arthur's arrest, but ended up being his own demise.